Take a few moments if you have questions for your fellow candidates. We'll start with you, Mr. Zurcher.
Yeah, this is a simple one. The last operating levy on the ballot, did you vote yes or no? For all three of you, one at a time. Did you vote yes or no, and why?
Are we going reverse alphabetical?
We'll go reverse alphabetical.
Okay.
You can go first, Scott.
I voted for it, which I better because I helped approve putting it on the ballot to begin with. Those things don't come lightly. They don't, there's an enormous amount of analysis. We're already, the 5-year forecast in effect is the beginning of when do we need a levy and for how much. It happens over a period of many years and constantly reevaluating our costs. Where can we cut? Where can we add? What do we do to stay off the ballot until the need arises? So I voted yes, and I've voted yes on each levy that has occurred over the last 15, 20 years because I've been satisfied the need was there.
Ms. Holland?
Well, my vote is private, but I will share that yes, I did vote for the levy. Keeping our schools strong is a big part of keeping Rocky River strong. I think we're lucky in that our community as a whole primarily realizes that. Again, taxpayers want to know their money's being used wisely, so they definitely hold our feet to the fire when it comes to levy time. They have a lot of questions. They want to understand the whys and wherefores and where it's coming from and where it's going. But I absolutely support our levies because our schools are what makes it a great community.
Ms. Leach, respond?
I don't think I've ever not voted for a school levy. My parents were both teachers. That's something you just don't do in our house, our family. So yes, of course, I voted for the school levy, but I also get involved. I learn about it. I probably worked on the campaign and talked to the people about voting for it. So I would think anybody running for school board were very supportive of our school and also very involved.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Schwartz, do you have a question you'd like to ask your fellow candidates?
Yes. First, I'd like to ask Diana, well, the first question we had tonight was about, you mentioned about maybe administrative costs would be where you might cut. Do you have any more detail about that?
You know, sometimes I wonder if we couldn't combine with, like, a curriculum director, wouldn't it be nice? I mean, I know we have a wonderful one, but are we really teaching that much curriculum difference from Bay Village, from Fairview, from Westlake? Couldn't some of those high-level jobs be combined? I mean, I wouldn't mind if my kids learned the same curriculum as they did in Bay Village or in Westlake. And would it really be that much harder to spread out some of those kind of costs? I mean, I think our technology director is fabulous. I have no complaints. I just think some of those high-end positions over a small community would be nice to spread out. That was what I would say.
And although I directed at Diana, certainly anybody else that would like to weigh in on that.
And there might be other positions. I just kind of bring curriculum to it because I just can't imagine our curriculum is that much different from our neighboring communities, and especially Bay Village that's always comparable, the same size, the same kind of community, the parents, the economics. Couldn't we share that resource?
Okay. Ms. Olander, do you have any thoughts about that?
No, I have no further thoughts on that. But I do have a question. Let me know when you're ready.
If Mr. Zurcher can answer first, and then we'll get to you. Thank you.
I'll answer. My son's first grade teacher, when we were going in to visit her and discuss where he's at with his education, I thought for sure he was going to be at a high level, like one of the top readers in the class. And we went in there, spoke with her, and found out he was more at the mid-level. And I was comparing it to my other kids because he's a very good reader. And she said, well, with the curriculum changes we've made in the last 10 years, and the kids, they're just learning faster and they're proceeding better. And to me, that's a seller right there. If you're making curriculum changes and we're seeing results, and like Scott said, we look at the 3rd grade reading level and where they're at, it's excellent, then I think these people are definitely worth what they're doing.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Olander, you had a question?
Yes, I wanted to ask everybody what they're hearing from people in the community about what's on their mind. And if I may, while they collect their thoughts, I'll share what I've been hearing. A couple things I'm hearing are, and this question has come up, what kinds of things do we need to add to our curriculum, or where do we need to beef things up a little bit? And I've heard a couple of common themes. One is we do want some enhanced technology curriculum programming. I know, Mr. Zurcher, this is something you've mentioned many times. I've also heard that they'd like to see some anatomy and physiology, health sciences preparation for students who want to go into the health sciences. And the third area is to also bump up our business education. Obviously, these are all at the high school as in preparation for college, but that's something I've heard a number of times. And then the other item I wanted to mention is that I've heard from across the community sometimes a feeling that it's not always easy to come to a board meeting to share your thoughts or ask questions. So there's a sense that people want to feel a little more welcome to come to a board meeting and share in a public forum. What else have you guys been hearing as you're talking to people in Rocky River?
Well, do you have maybe more of a specific question you want to give them? Because that was kind of a lot. So.
Oh, no. My question is, what are you hearing as you're talking to people in the community as you're campaigning? And I answered the question for the things I've been hearing as I've been talking to people.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Some curriculum additions and more welcoming at the board meeting. Those are the two issues.
Thank you. Mr.
That
Zucker.
helps.
I'll start. Yeah, you hear a little bit of everything. Obviously, you know, one gentleman said, well, they should teach Mandarin, Chinese. Others say, you know, the kids need to learn how to write cursive, and they do learn to write cursive. They just don't do it enough where they retain it, I think. And but people say they need to learn how to write cursive in case they're doing research, and the research papers happen to be older papers in cursive. But when I'm talking to people, I mentioned the software development, and the people are gravitating to that. They're saying that's a great idea. And you mentioned people think there should be more business classes. Well, let me tell you what the business environment is. When you look at some of our big employers in the greater Cleveland area, you look at the large banks, they have more software developers than they have bankers. You look at the large insurance companies, they have more software developers than insurance companies. That's where business is coming to. It's all software development.
Okay.
And that's why I want to push these software development courses.
Okay, sir. Mr. Swartz.
Yes, it's interesting that the person who's at every board meeting never has heard the comment about it being more welcoming, certainly not in the last many years. And since nobody here at the table has really been at many board meetings prior to the past month, I guess I'll speak to that. I'm not aware of there ever being an unwelcoming. And most of the times we have an empty room. I guess maybe perhaps that's because people don't think they'd be welcome if they did come, but I'd ask people to just try it. Please come to our meetings. There's always room for public commentary if they wish to do so. The commentary extends longer than they would probably expect if they're the only one there, but when we do have a crowd, we have to limit it because we just have to give everybody equal time. So I'm really puzzled by that comment when no one bothers to come to even find out. What do I hear? You get the various, you get sports a lot. There's always something we could be doing better. Why do we sweep left when we should be sweeping right in the football game? But any variety of sports and coaching comments is what you get. Odds and ends, educational-wise, I think it's been very on point to mention the technology and engineering, because we know that that's something we're getting better in, and we'll address that. But those are all very good feedback.
Thank you. Ms. Leach?
To answer the question
Yes,
or
would you
a
like
new
to
one?
respond to Ms. Hollander's question?
I probably have heard things about a little bit more welcoming at school board meetings, and I have to say I've been there myself and felt pretty nervous, and was one time told to go to another committee and not speak at the meeting.
When was that?
That was a few years ago.
How long ago?
Mr. Schwartz, if you could just let her
that's
finish her
okay.
response,
But
and
yeah,
then we'll give you a chance to follow up.
Everybody could always do a better job of welcoming people. And also, I feel like maybe more appreciative of volunteers. I think we could always do a better job with that too. People do give a lot of their, like the band people, I know they do a lot of work, and sometimes they don't always feel appreciated with how much time they put in, and fundraising that people do. That I imagine everybody in every job, we could always say thank you, and the teachers the same way. We just feel a little bit more appreciated. They get a nice income, but it's always good to feel like you're really thanked for what you're doing. But I haven't heard that too many things. People are pretty much positive about our school system when I walk around and talk to people. They're appreciative also of a good school system.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Zurcher, did you have any follow-up to Ms. Olander's question?
No.
Mr. Schwartz, I think there was something else you wanted
And
to
to
say.
add to Diana's question, most it's positive, and that's why we really do have a chance to respond to comments we might get on a technology program or a business education, because when you don't have hundreds of comments coming in about improving various things, it makes you more able to focus on the ones you do get. So there's always going to be things we can do better, and I'm satisfied our administration does address comments that come in. On this whole welcoming the school board, how long ago was that, Diana, that happened, that you were at a school board and you had that happen to you?
Oh, I think it was probably on equal support of women's sports that I come to the school board, so a couple times
So like
through.
7 or 8 years ago?
Yeah, it
something
seemed like
that?
people were telling me, no, you should go to the athletic advisory council, and I remember thinking, I didn't know there was an athletic advisory council. I just was coming to you all.
Sure.
And
I do remember what you're talking
Yeah.
about. I would add
So-
that 2 of the 5 board members that were present there are no longer on the board, and I don't think you'd be having perhaps the same dynamic now that might have happened at that time.
That's true.
Yeah,
Thank you,
I would
Mr.
like
Schwartz.
to follow up if I could.
Sure, Bree, go ahead.
On that. I hope you will take that back a little bit, Scott. I truly have heard that a lot, and I was there in a meeting about a year ago, and it isn't always easy. It's a little bit hard to ask questions because you have to sign in ahead, and people feel like, what if I have a question that comes out as a result of the discussion? You're not sure if you can really raise your hand and ask the question, and sometimes it's a simple question. So I hope you really will take that back sincerely and encourage them to welcome people and make it known that they can ask a question based on the discussion.
Okay, so be
they
more
heard.
descriptive of the process.
Absolutely, because when I was there last month, I had a question and then submitted it via email because I hadn't signed up in advance because I didn't know I would have a question. And I submitted a question to all of you via email, and I didn't hear anything back from anyone. So that was a little bit discouraging.
The email I got was not a question, it was a statement.
Well, it was a question wanting to know more about what
Okay,
came out of
then I didn't see a
it was
question
actually a
in it.
question you
Okay.
asked. I just was curious what the answer
If we
was.
could give Ms. Leach an opportunity to ask her questions of the
Can I
candidates,
just
that'd be
say-
great.
can I just say one thing?
Briefly, quickly.
Yeah. I went to the board meeting last year, and I addressed the board, and they were very inviting, and it worked out perfect for me. So
Okay,
I
thank
didn't
you.
have the same experience they did.
Thank you. Ms. Leach, if you want to have
I
a
don't
question
really
for
have
your
questions for my candidates. I just would like to say I appreciate them all running because we live in a community that people care and we all take an interest in it, and I think we're lucky to live in a community where we all step up and try and do a leadership position like this. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.